Hey everybody, this is Joel and
Addie
from
movingtomexi.co
and what are we here to do, Addie?
to learn some Spanish.
Vamos a aprender un poquito español.
Sí.
Anyways, everyone, bienvenidos a nuestro canal, which means,
Welcome to our channel.
and if this is the first time that you're here, you may want to go back to the previous episode or the previous video that we did because that was the very first lesson. And that will kind of get you caught up, and then once you finish that one, I think it's about 24 minutes or so, then finish that one, then you can come into lesson 2. But before we get started, if you're really interested in learning more about Mexico, if you're interested in learning more Spanish in a very simple and easy, chill way, what should they do?
They should subscribe to us.
They should subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
And what else do we got to do? We got to hit that little
Notification
bell. And hit the like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we need some likes. Like, especially if you like Addie, hit the like. I mean, you know, maybe I don't get as many likes as you do, but I'm working on it, right? And quick shout out to Joe Jack's Fish Shack, one of my favorite restaurants in all of Puerto Vallarta. And if anyone, all of you, have a chance to win 500 peso gift certificate for Joe Jack's, if you can guess how long we've lived in Mexico. So comment below the first person to guess the number of years. You don't have to get it exactly, just the number of years that we've lived in Mexico. We're going to give you 500 pesos towards a nice dinner at Joe Jack's Fish Shack. So in the lesson that we did, the very first lesson, we spent a lot of time on the various palabras. And what are palabras?
Words.
The various words that were part of your vocabulario inglés, which is
Your English vocabulary.
your English vocabulary, your vocabulario inglés. These are all the words you actually already have in your head. And there's just a little bit of a different way to pronunciar, right? Or pronunciación, okay? And some of the words that we went over were words in English that ended in ible, so I-B-L-E, and hable, A-B-L-E. Words such as possible, which would be
Posible.
excelente, and probable, which would be
Probable.
You got that one. Last week you had a little bit of
Yeah.
trouble saying probable, but you nailed it. So literally almost all English words that end in these syllables can easily translate to Spanish. So I think we could probably try a few more. Hey, Addie? So, and we didn't do these ones last week, so I thought let's give them a shot. Not that we want things to be terrible, but if they were, how would you say that in Spanish?
Terrible.
Terrible. How about, here's a tough one, indestructible.
Indestructible.
Indestructible. Excelente. And it's kind of along the words of, or along the lines of terrible, but how about horrible?
Horrible.
Horrible. Now, let's reverse that, and this is a little bit of a tricky one, something that is incredible. Let's let the audience try to do this one first. Can you think about how you could say incredible in Espanol? Now you try.
Increíble.
Increíble. So that was a little bit different because it's not incredible, it's increíble. So you got to get rid of that D. So there are some certain exceptions to that rule, but generally speaking, if you just kind of like follow the pattern of pronunciation, you're going to get it right 99% of the time. So I thought we would try some additional new words from ABLE, and this one also is a little bit tricky. It is amiable. So someone who's amiable is someone who's nice, and it is a very important word in Spanish because someone is a little louder.
Amable.
Amable. So amiable is an ABLE word. There is a little bit of a trick to it, and that becomes amable. Ella es muy amable. Oh, she's like really, really nice. And again, like in the last video, we have cats fighting. So if you hear those meows, if you hear someone like scratching the other cat, hit the like button, and we get bonuses for that, don't we? So amable, a very, very important word in Spanish. It can be used to basically express someone or something that is just very, very nice. El Señor es muy amable. Tu papá es muy amable. Tu mamá, qué amable tu mamá. How wonderful your mother is. So that is the word amiable. So the other words we touched on were palabras en inglés que terminan en ant y ent. And when I say que terminan, what do I mean? Let's think about that. Terminar, terminan. Finish, that's right. Finish or end, right? So think of the Terminator, okay? So terminar is to end, okay? What was the Terminator's role? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was the Terminator, he was there to basically end you. So that is how you're gonna think of that word. So terminar, or terminan in this case, because we are conjugating the verb, is from the verb terminar. So some ANT and ENT. Let's say, how would you say constant?
Constante.
Constante. And what about the word evident?
Evidente.
Evidente.
Oh, evidente.
Evidente. Okay. Now here's a kind of an interesting one because it's how the consonant's going to be pronounced. But how about the word urgent? We have a very urgent matter. So how are you going to say urgent?
Urgente.
Try again.
Urgente.
Urgente.
Oh.
Excelente. So the G, I think it was just the way you started it. You actually pronounced the G correctly, but you were like, oh, you kind of like did that. But urgente.
Urgente.
Urgente. So anytime the G is before an E or an I, you're going to make it as a H. Okay, so think of if you were going to Scotland and you were going to Loch Ness. It's the same pronunciation. So when that G is before an E or an I, it's going to be H. And in the case of urgente, it's urgente. So how would you say, Addie, that, and then going back to some of the words we learned last week, how do you say I need?
Necesito.
Okay. I need it now because it is very urgent.
Necesito ahora porque es muy urgente.
Okay, you got 99% of it, so you forgot one little thing, it.
Oh.
Let's try again.
Lo necesito porque es
Lo
muy...
necesito now.
Oh, lo necesito ahora porque es muy urgente.
Excelente. Lo necesito ahora porque es muy urgente. Okay, and do you remember I have?
Tengo.
Tengo. And if you really wanted to accentuate it, if you want to like make it really, really clear that it was almost urgente.
Yo tengo.
Yo tengo, okay? So what about I don't have?
No tengo.
No tengo. What about I don't have it?
No lo tengo.
No lo tengo. Excelente. And so in last episode or the last program and today we just used the verb tener, which means to have, and we know that when there's an O at the end of the verb, that's basically means I. So tengo is I have. Now what about you have? Tiene. So if you're talking about the person as in you, then the O, you don't put an O there because that would be I have. In this case, it would be tiene, which is
You have.
you have. Correcto mundo. I don't think correcto mundo is a word, but we're going to use that one today because it sounds kind of fun. So you don't have it.
You don't have it?
You don't have it.
No lo tiene.
No lo tiene. Could you also say usted tiene? Yeah, you could. Okay. And then the informal, we're not going to teach people this, but do you remember?
Yeah, it's tienes.
Tienes. And if you want to say you, like as in you have,
Tú tienes.
tú tienes. And that's going to be for some episodes, some videos down the road where we're going to go into the more informal context of Spanish. But for these intro purposes, we're sticking completely to the formal. And in Spanish, you have a formal, so you're talking to someone who's new in your relationship, someone who's perhaps older than you, someone who you're wanting to give more respect, then you would use Usted. Okay. What about the word? Now, if you want to say the word what, you're going to say the word in español, la palabra en español, que, right? Que. And it's spelled in Q-U-E, and there's going to be an accent over the E because you're going to really put the emphasis on that final part. It's que.
Yeah.
Okay? And how would you say then, what do you have?
Que tiene.
Que tiene. And you could say, que tiene usted? But you don't have to. So remember that once you conjugate that vowel, you don't have to put like the English equivalent of you in front of it or behind of it. You could just simply say, que tiene? What do you have? Now, do you remember how to say, well, it's funny, I said now. So how do I say now?
Ahora.
Ahora. How would you say right now?
Ahora.
Think. It's the same word for same.
Oh, lo mismo.
Very, very close. So string it together now. Think about how would you say right now?
Ahora lo mismo.
No, get rid of one of those words. What would it be? Think about it. Ahora mismo.
Oh.
Ahora mismo is right now. Okay? Think about that one next time. Now that I actually was not supposed to be in today's class, but I thought I would throw it in because I just thought of it. And as I think of things, I am going to just, add a little bit because that makes it a little bit more interesting and we're all here to learn anyways. And again, I'm going to make mistakes even as your teacher because Spanish is my second language. I have been speaking it for over 30 years, but I make mistakes all the time. I sometimes make mistakes on where I put the accent. I sometimes make mistakes on conjugating a verb. That's okay, isn't it, Addie? Because does anyone really care?
No.
No. Do you care if these guys make a mistake? No. Adelaide doesn't care. I don't care. If you come to Mexico and you speak in whatever Spanish you're learning, no one's gonna care. So you just gotta be tranquilo, chill, man. All right then. So what do you have for me now?
¿Qué tiene para mí ahora?
Que tiene, and this was from the previous show, para mí, for me, ahora. Okay? How would you say, what do you have for me right now?
¿Qué tiene para mí ahora?
Right now.
Ahora mismo.
Ahora mismo. Que tiene para mí ahora mismo. So once more, what does I have?
Tengo.
What is I don't have?
No tengo.
What is do you have?
Tiene.
And what is do you have it?
Lo tiene.
And how would you say you don't have it?
No lo tiene.
And see how Addie used the inflection? So she didn't say no lo tiene, she said no lo tiene. So you saw the expression in her face, you heard the inflection in her voice, she turned that into a question. Now, you don't have it for me now?
No lo tiene para mí ahora.
Okay. You don't have it for me right now?
No tiene para mí. Wait, what was it again?
You don't have it for me right now?
Oh, no lo tiene para mí ahora mismo.
Yeah. ¿No lo tiene para mí ahora mismo? Sí. All right. And as I'm looking down, I do have my little cheat screen here, right, Adelaide, because we do want to keep on topic and I don't want to go off on a tangent, because I said in the last show, your dad really likes to do that. And how do you say dad in Spanish, in español?
Papá.
Papá. Soy el papá de Adelaide. Y Adelaide es mi hija. All right. How do you say I want? Do you remember?
Quiero.
Quiero, and that's Q-U-I-E-R-O. So I want is quiero. This is, again, a very, very important verb because most of the time when you're asking a question because you
Want it.
You want something, or you want to know, right? So quiero is very important in many aspects. So tell me, Addie, I want.
Quiero.
Okay, I want.
Yo quiero.
I want it.
Lo quiero.
I want it. I want it now.
Lo quiero ahora.
Okay. And what do you want?
Aquí quiere.
Que quiere. So here we're getting into introduction, a little bit of introduction to conjugating of verbs. Okay, the verb for want is querer. Okay, so that is unconjugated just by itself. The word for the conjugated verb for I want is quiero, and the conjugated verb for you want is again
Oh. Quiere.
quiere. Okay, Q-U-I-E-R-E. So what do you want?
Que quiere.
Que quiere. What do you want now?
Que quiere ahora.
I'm going to throw in something here. No, I'm going to wait for it.
Okay.
Okay. How about let's have the audience try this one.
Okay.
I want it. Yo
Quiero.
lo quiero.
Oh, lo quiero.
I kind of I messed up there. So I could say yo lo quiero, but literally all I had to say was lo quiero. And what about, and this is again for all of you out there, you want? It's quiere.
Yeah.
You want it?
Lo quiere.
Lo quiere. Okay. Now, the next verb we're going to touch on is to know. And the verb to know is saber. And it comes, and it's spelled S-A-B-E-R. And you know is,
Sabes.
okay. I want to know.
Yo. Oh no. Quiero saber.
Okay, so we're showing you now how to string some verbs together, right? So, yo quiero is I want. And then when you put saber, that is to know. So just like you would in English, I want to know. But in Spanish, you're going to be saying quiero, which is literally I want, but you don't have to say yo quiero, okay? And then saber is literally to know. There's no to before the actual saber. Saber basically means to know, so there is no extra word that you have to stick in there. It's literally quiero saber. I don't want to know, Adelaide.
No quiero saber.
You want to know.
Quiere saber.
You do not want to know? You don't want to know?
No quiere saber.
How about a little more inflection?
No quiere saber.
¿No quieres saber? Excelente. All right, so speaking of important verbs, we're going to another one, and that is the verb can, or I can. So how would you say I can?
Puedo.
Puedo. And why do we know it means I can? Because what vowel is on the end?
And O.
It is an O. So now you could say I can would be
Puedo.
I cannot.
No puedo.
Very simple. I can, puedo. I cannot, no puedo. Can you do it? No puedo. Can you do it? Sí. Puedo. And how about you can?
Puede.
Puede. Okay, so we know O. Now on the end of that verb is the E. And now we know that we're talking about you. Okay, as in a singular person. So you can do it.
Puede hacerlo.
Puede hacerlo. And see how Addie is just thinking it out, right? So when you're following these classes, you just got to do the same thing. Don't try to remember. Just try to think, right? And as the more you start thinking, the more you're going to actually start thinking in the language you're trying to speak, and then things eventually over time become more and more natural as opposed to just trying to remember things. This way you're actually thinking the word you're speaking. So now we're going to go to another verb, which is to do, and we're not going to conjugate this verb yet. We're just going to be stringing it together with some other verbs, and that is the word to do, which is
Hacer.
hacer. All right, and to spell hacer is Hacer, hacer. Now, what about the word to eat?
Comer.
Comer. Okay. And what about the word something?
Algo. Algo.
Okay. Okay. Algo. And what about if you want to say, I want something?
Yo quiero algo. Or quiero algo.
Sí, sí. Tú puedes decir yo quiero algo. También tú puedes decir quiero algo. Depende, ¿sí? No es un error para decir yo quiero algo. It's not an error to say yo quiero algo, but you don't have to. It's just one extra word, so you just can leave it out unless you're really trying to emphasize it, like, yo quiero comer algo ahora mismo, right now, right? Okay, so what about to say I have something for you?
Tengo
Uh-huh,
algo
uh-huh,
para
uh-huh.
usted.
Tengo algo para usted. And this is just for Addie because she is a little bit more advanced. And if you want to say to your buddy, your friend, what would you say if you wanted to say, I have something for you?
Tengo algo para ti.
Para ti. Sí, para ti. Tengo algo para ti. So that would be when you're speaking to your friend, your spouse, your partner. You're not going to use the formal. But again, just for these lesson purposes, we're sticking with the formal. But I will throw that in every now and again because it's going to come in future lessons. So how would you say, I want to eat?
Quiero comer.
Okay. I want to eat something now.
Quiero comer algo ahora.
Quiero comer algo ahora. Okay. And I want to eat something right now.
Quiero comer algo ahora mismo.
Ahora mismo. Okay, and you have to be a little careful if you are using that because you don't want to offend anyone. If you're saying that, like, yo quiero comer algo ahora mismo, it's more like, tengo bastante hambre. I'm very, 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 very hungry, right? And this leads me to the next one. Because would you say I am hungry as in estoy hambre?
No.
Okay. So the word for hunger is
Hambre.
hambre. Not to be confused with man, which is?
Hombre.
Okay, so there's hambre, and then there is hombre. But if you're hungry, you are hambre. And to say you're hungry, you would say, I am hungry.
I have hunger.
Yeah? How would you say that in
Tengo
Espanol?
hambre.
Tengo hambre. And how would you say, you're hungry?
¿Tiene hambre?
Tiene hambre? Excelente. All right, everybody. I think we've reached the end of, we've reached the end of my notes, but I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with this because it's going to conclude our lesson. Because what time is it?
3:00.
Well, Adelaide knows me well. It's 3:00, but it is getting close to dinner time.
Oh.
So it's going to conclude our lesson because I am ready to eat something now. So esto va a concluir nuestra lección. ¿Por qué? And you're going to finish this, okay? So esto va a concluir nuestra lección. ¿Por qué? I am hungry and I want to eat something now.
Porque tengo hambre. Wait, what was it?
And
Y
I want
quiero
to eat something,
comer
something,
algo ahora.
ahora. Okay. Muchas gracias a todo, which is thanks to
All of you.
all of you. And remember, if you like what Adelaide and I are doing, if you like our channel, give us
Thumbs up.
a little thumbs up, pretty please, por favor. Sí, por favor. And please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell because we're going to put a lot of work into these videos, and every time someone hits like, every time someone comments below, it really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. We're trying to grow this channel and it's getting tougher and tougher nowadays. We really hope you like what we're doing, and we're going to do these lessons twice a week now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come up with some kind of fun name. Right now it's just Spanish lessons with Joel and Addie, but yeah, I think that's okay. But
Yeah.
if we come up with something different, if you have any ideas for a name,
Comment down
yeah,
below.
comment below. And here's the thing. So if you comment below for an idea for the name of the show for just me and Adelaide, and we choose it, I'm gonna give one more gift certificate, another 500 pesos to Joe Jack's Fish Sack. So remember, there's two things. If you can guess how many years we've lived in Mexico, you get 500 pesos to Joe Jack's. If you comment below and give us some idea on what to call this show, this sub-show of all of our shows on moving to Mexi.co, and we choose it, then we're gonna give you 500 pesos for Joe Jack's Fish Shack. And Joe Jack's Fish Shack, what do you think of that place?
It's pretty freaking good.
It's pretty freaking good. And it's in Puerto Vallarta. Joe Jack, super good guy, and the food is out of this world. We actually have a show coming up, hopefully in the next week or two, where it is a Margarita Monday, and I got to spend a couple hours with Joe himself, the Joe Jack. Pretty excited to put that out. But anyways, thanks again, everybody, for staying to the end of our video, and I'm gonna let you sign off this time.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, how about hasta luego
Hasta luego. Nos vemos pronto.
y
Ah.
come on 3, 1, 2, 3, adiós.